How's it going, everyone? It's Ben Falcons Media Corner back again with a brand new video for today. Welcome back to another movie review, aka After I Saw. This time it's going to be on the 2024 jukebox musical psychological thriller, and that is Joker Folie Deux. This is, of course, the sequel to the 2019 film Joker, and of course, this was directed by Todd Phillips once again, who made the first film, and of course, has Joaquin Phoenix reprising his role from that film as Arthur Fleck, aka the Joker, in which in this film we see him struggling with his dual identity, and while he's being incarcerated in Arkham State Hospital, and while he's in there, he meets the love of his life, who's named Leigh, who's played by Lady Gaga. So that's pretty much the story of Joker Folie Deux. Now, when this film was announced where it was going to have elements of being a musical, few people were pretty skeptical over that, but in all honesty, since the film was going for that route, it didn't really bother me that much because I was actually really intrigued to see what this film was going for here from all of that. And when it comes to the original Joker film from 2019, I do think it's a phenomenal film, but yeah, it's also a very controversial film because people have been criticizing that film over its depiction of violence, as well as for having similarities to two of Martin Scorsese films, which are Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy, which I love those movies, but in which I do see where the criticisms do line with that film, but still though, I still love the first Joker film, and I even rewatched that film for preparation for this movie, and I did see this movie on opening day, which was the 4th of October of this year, and after viewing this movie here, unfortunately, this film was just a major step down, and yeah, I just found this film to be a very disappointing sequel here. Honestly, this film just felt like a 2-hour long epilogue to the first film, where that film just felt like it was the beginning. Whereas for this film, we see that Arthur is on trial, and it brings in the stuff that we all know from the first film, alongside the witnesses who have witnessed him performing his crimes. And the film just could have been a whole lot more endearing and a lot more effective and even more focused between the whole connection between Arthur and Leigh, in which we don't really see them together that often within this film, which that was disappointing. But once when we see them started being connected with each other and all that before the trials, it starts off pretty strong, but it gets watered down when it cuts to the courtroom scenes, and even the whole advertisement for the film just does tend to try and make you feel like this whole film was going to be about that, between the whole connection between Arthur and Leigh, as well as with the musical numbers and all that. But when it comes to some of that here within this film, there is quite a few of them, but it doesn't really get into that feeling like after 30 minutes of this film. However, I kind of felt the film just could have made more sense, and it just could have had a whole lot of purpose of like having those moments here and there within this film, even though I did kind of get like why they were in the film when they show like what's going on in Arthur's mind, and they even do happen like that during like the courtroom scenes where it'll cut to in a moments between Arthur, and then it'll certainly break into like musical form, in which all of that just felt like fillers throughout the entirety of this film when it came to some of that here. And when it comes to the ending in the film here, oh my god, once it reaches its climax, I was like, okay, how's this going to wrap up? But I just felt really frustrated once it wraps up straight away, because it just made the entire film just feel so wasted. Although I did appreciate from not being predictable or anything like that, but I just didn't really appreciate from being something that has me questioning of like, what was the point of this whole thing here and all that. And I would even say it's probably one of the worst endings I've ever seen for like a comic book film or anything like that. And when it comes to the direction by Todd Phillips, it is still well shot for a grungy like 80s New York vibe to Gotham, as well as for having like the vivid like musical numbers in terms of the technical color aspects, which I thought all that was pretty well done here. And the score for the film here I thought was pretty good, but not as much of a standout like the first film or anything like that, since this one incorporates like jukebox music. And as for the performances here, like they all were pretty well standout here, from Joaquin Phoenix, Lady Gaga, Gleeson, Catherine Keener, Steve Coogan, Lawtey, and others and all that. They were pretty well standout here for the acting talent, and even for the musical performances as well. I thought they were also well standout here when it came to some of that here within this film here. But in all honesty, Joker Folie Deux, again, this film was just a major step down to the first film. And I wouldn't necessarily say this film was absolutely terrible, because, again, I just found this film just to be very disappointing here, and all that. But it still has quite a few things I did find myself enjoying quite a bit here. But for everything else, it just left me very heartbroken here. But if you are a fan of of the first film, I just don't know how to recommend this film in the slightest here, since this film isn't doing really well at the box office here. So that's pretty much all I'd say about Joker Folie Deux. I'm going to give Joker Folie Deux 2.5 out of 5. as I said, this movie was just a major disappointment for me here, and again, it really breaks my heart because I was really excited for this movie, but there were still some portions of the film I did find myself enjoying quite a bit here, but for everything else, it just left me very, very disappointed here. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching for my AK After I Saw review on Joker Folie, Deux, and let me know what you think of the sequel, if you have seen this already, or if you just recently check this out. Did you either like the sequel, or were you just very, very disappointed with this one like I was? As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and this has been Fogan's Media Corner signing off.